40, of course, that is the live picture to the West Wing of the White House. At any moment, we may be getting video from inside the Oval Office where the Prime Minister and the President are meeting. Then we'll show you that. But we know also the East Room will have that press conference as well, as both leaders will be sharing what they've talked about. Of course, India, a partner of America in the sense of an ally. You know, this is they wouldn't be meeting together in this fashion early on, specifically as we've spoken about. Israel, Japan, Jordan, and now India world leaders have been to the White House. Yes,
very big, important allies. Also, countries with very large GDPs, some of the most influential in the world, and have very difficult geopolitical challenges in their own right, being, you know, where they sit in the world. I think especially Israel, of course, what they're going through since October 7th of 2023 has just been hell on earth for so many people. But then also Japan. They're surrounded by the Chinese Communist Party, North Korea, who is a rogue state. And it's really a small island nation of great people that are under direct threat of what China might do next. But the beautiful thing about these agreements and working together is that they will be deterred. They most likely will not invade Taiwan as long as President Trump is in office, because he's so right about that. The Russia-Ukraine incident would not have happened. Hamas would never have attacked Israel if President Trump was in office. But it takes hindsight sometimes to look back on things and realize where we might have gone astray, and that was by Joe Biden being in the White House on a number of occasions, not only as a senator and the vice president, but sadly, as president of the United States. It was almost like an empty suit there. No one was at home.
Yeah, and also another career politician. That's not what we want anymore as Americans, because we just saw what we, the people, and the majority of America voted for was an outsider. So President Trump has brought that level and brought that bar to a much higher level now. As we move forward and as we vote in this country, the people that voted for President Trump, we all are going to be looking for someone like that, in the sense of someone that is an outsider type, or someone that is a MAGA conservative, true and blue to we the people and the Constitution. So will that be J.D. Vance? Will that be any of the cabinet picks that President Trump has selected? Who knows? We'll see. So, and President Trump not getting ahead of himself either, being asked about if he's going to put his support by the vice president for that. He says time will tell. But at the end of the day, of course, Vice President J.D. Vance, an absolute rock star for this movement, traveling already to Virginia and out there to Ohio, just meeting with the people as well. And that's somebody that really resonates with the American people too, because of the fact of just in general, whether it's blue collar, white collar, whatever, you just come together and you meet.
And he was just in Paris, France for the AI Action Summit. And for Vivek, his son, also a Vivek, who just turned 5, they got to tour the Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris as a family. So kind of a special moment for them to get that together. And JD was actually mentioned on True Social, our 50th vice president. So relatable. He was just talking about his son on his birthday and how he likes to go to sleep late like his dad does, and he's trying to break him out of that habit, but he's just taking on everything in the world, kind of like his friend Vivek Ramaswamy, who is someone who always is trying to take in as much information as possible.
Definitely. All right, so we're following some breaking and developing news right now between leading report and breaking 911. So first of all, we reported to you earlier because President Trump was asked a question about DOJ officials entering the IRS building. And President Trump didn't deny that that was happening and kind of continued on with an answer there. So the point is, we're seeing the reports that DOJ officials have entered an IRS building. That, we'll see what happens out of that. And then developing just more of a breaking news kind of developing situation way outside of the Beltway, out there in Oregon. More than 100 vehicles involved in a massive pileup on I-84 in Multnomah Falls, Oregon. Number of injuries unknown. A huge snowstorm out there. Speaking of storms, those of you last night, of course, whether you're up in the Northeast with some of the snow that happened all the way down here to Alabama and to the west and to the east, this storm came through. Packed a decent punch here. Pretty sizable, severe thunderstorm. Very, very minor damage in the area, but it was a quick mover. About 40 miles per hour from west to east, and there were tornado watches. So We'll keep our eye on various weather patterns and events that happen here at the network too. I know that's a little bit shocking because it's outside of the political realm, but at the end of the day, you can count on us for being an America First network, and one that is obviously covering Washington, D.C. politics in the Beltway, but also outside the Beltway.
Right. And you mentioned earlier today that special app, if you want to share that again.
Yeah, definitely. Radar Scope. If you're wanting to monitor, tornado warnings, tornado watches, that kind of thing, I know a number of people from previous work in mainstream media that at the National Weather Service that were actually on their app or on their phone, they'd have the Radar Scope app. This is an app that's about $10 a year. And also, fun fact, the Boston Red Sox groundskeeper actually monitors storms, and he uses Radar Scope. I have it on my phone too. I also have, the Apple one and the Weather Channel and all that. But I really like to see, there's this part where it shows a red box around where an actual tornado warning is. But it's very detailed. It shows the directions of storms. It gets actually really complicated.
Right.
But on the onset there, you can figure out more about it. So anyway, Radar Scope, a great app there for weather. So other than that, looking at some other breaking news here, Breaking 911 says federal judge appointed by Biden temporarily blocks President Trump's order banning sex changes for those under 19. Judge Brendan Herson said the action seems to deny that this population even exists or deserves to exist. Very interesting there. Okay, so that from Breaking 911. But anyway, so monitoring news as it comes in here. Definitely not taking it always from the AP or Reuters and that kind of thing. More on the side of common sense reporting and conservative various sites out there as we kind of as a unit move forward. I know that we have a lot of people that love Right Side Broadcasting Network, and we love you back. At the end of the day, that's the truth. So 447.
Yes, 447. And thanks for being with us here today, because times do change, but President Trump is super busy with just making America great again. And you look at that beautiful shot of the White House with that sunshine. But we're expecting a press conference with the Prime Minister of the Republic of India, Mr. Modi, and also President Trump to begin at 5:10. Right now, they are in the middle of a bilateral meeting. Perhaps Secretary of State Marco Rubio joining in on that, as well as he's had with the other ones.
Exactly. So we'll see if we get any of the feed from the Oval Office there as we monitor the live coverage right now on our various feeds from the studio here. But again, today, if you missed any of the coverage, there's a lot to look through on Rumble, on YouTube, on X, if you'd like to see the posts. You can definitely get your, this is not a news brief in the sense of, in 15 minutes, we're going to give you all the news. We can totally do that, and we have done that a few times. But if you're looking to watch the entire event happen, just go ahead to go on Rumble or YouTube, X, Truth Social. We post a lot of our content on there as well. So that's what it's about. A lot of people say it's the content that people want anymore, and obviously we're providing that for you here at the network. So glad you're joining us. And we spoke about DOGE quite a bit, of course. And yesterday the Government Accountability Office, the White House said that the Accountability Office actually released a report just last year finding that no area of the federal government is immune to fraud. We estimated that the federal government could lose between $233 billion and $521 billion annually to fraud. So they say at the White House Communications Office, President Trump is determined to be a good steward of taxpayer dollars and put an end to fraudulent and wasteful spending. So if you want receipts, they have the receipts.
Yeah, it's all in the blueprint there, and this administration ready to expose it, and especially with someone like Elon Musk to help out. It's gigantic. It's amazing to think how much waste has taken place over the course of the last few years, but this group of people really righting the sails and putting it back on the right side of history for sure.
Exactly. Those of you on the conservative side of the aisle and those of you that are podcasters and anybody watching right now, hello to you. We're on the same team. We're believing for great things to happen in this country. We look forward to seeing the president here, this live feed from outside the West Wing of the White House. You see the Marine standing there as the Oval Office is now occupied, of course. We have President Trump in there and the Prime Minister of India. So can you tell us, it's true, right, that the Marine would stand outside whenever the president's in the Oval Office? Is it that side, or is it somewhere else that the Marine would stand?
That's the correct spot. That
Okay.
is right there, and we'll stay at attention. Sometimes on the other side, you'll see that other entrance that faces the Eisenhower Executive Building, but whenever the Marine is standing at that entrance specifically, the President is in the Oval Office.
It's always cool to know the inside scoop there. And also, if you're just joining us and you didn't watch any live information from earlier, we know that the First Lady, Melania Trump, has announced that the White House will actually have open tours to the public coming up. And so what has to happen there, though, is you have to reach out to your Congress member to in order to get those kind of tickets. It's 3 months in advance. It's a whole process. But if you go to whitehouse.gov/visit, that will bring you to that. So always cool to see the White House.
Oh, yes, always a special moment. And if you just caught there on the split screen, when the Marine change guard like that, and it's very ceremonial, as you saw the Marine open the door for his colleague, and he's about to open the door for another person coming in. So that's always a special moment to enter through those doors and out of those doors when the president is in the office, because they are the highest order of gentlemen to greet any visitor and any staffer coming in and out of the White House, and they go right back to attention. So kind of the ornate, special nature of our nation's capital.
Exactly. Always good to see that, as well as earlier we saw RFK Jr. Be sworn in as the Secretary of the Human and Health Services Secretary there. So let's see if we could possibly go to that video from earlier. If we can't do that, no worries, as we have this live feed right here with the Prime Minister of India inside the Oval Office there, meeting with the President. As just earlier, RFK Jr. sworn in as the HHS Secretary. President Trump obviously participating in that. A lot of the family there as well, and Marjorie Taylor Greene was there. Yes,
Senator Rand Paul and Senator Ron Johnson, huge supporters of Mr. Kennedy as well. And wow, what a time to be alive, because DC Drano mentioned on Truth as well, Republicans have supported a Kennedy, and wow, just it's 2025.
Yeah, no, it's wild times. You know, you think back to 2016 when President Trump won in November, and what that was like, that sense of patriotic pride and love for our country. And we were talking then that it was called the silent majority. Now, of course, it's not silent anymore, which is great. And producer, if you can send me a message on our internal communications. I can't hear you on the IFB there. But what I'm saying is we saw that amazing moment in time. And now we're all the way in 2025, and we're going to have President Trump and this team all the way through until 2029.
Right.
You know, I know 2028 will be a new president general election, but still, I mean, if he's going at this pace now, what will our country look like from a year from now?
Oh, yes. Well, I think safer for sure, especially with the recent exiting of illegal migrants, especially those who are the worst of criminals. Many are in Guantanamo Bay facing justice, or even to their native lands as well, again, facing justice for their crimes. But, you know, it's the damage was done for so many hundreds of thousands of people who lost their lives due to migrant violence, or even the fentanyl crisis. So that I'm sure, if you look a year from now, the crime has to drastically reduce throughout the country.
Exactly, and that's we'll be seeing that. But it's just great to, from the base of our country, the constitutional rights, that they are secured. That President Trump won't forget about our country, won't forget about the Constitution, won't forget about our God. That in his speech on January 20th, that is really nice to know that that's the case. And also all of the cabinet picks and the rejuvenation or the excitement from the military now,
right?
Because they have a commander-in-chief that is an actual commander-in-chief.
Oh, no question about that. I mean, someone who really loves the job, the way he stands and salutes. We saw that at the Super Bowl with a great rendition of the American national anthem by John Baptiste, and President Trump standing at attention and the crowd roaring when they saw the camera pan over to him. So that was a really special moment this week.
Yeah, exactly. It's awesome to see all of the various things going on, including seeing the president. He's going to be in Daytona for the Daytona 500 on Sunday. So, I don't think, he doesn't stop.
No,
I mean, we already know he doesn't
Right.
stop, but he really doesn't. He keeps
Yeah.
on going. And he said one time at a speech, and I was surprised he said it, but he did. He goes, listen, the way to stay out of depression is just to work your you-know-what off, basically.
Right.
Just keep going. Keep working. Don't give up. And that's the thing. When you have God and you have grit, and, that's a good combination.
Well, especially when you're working on the behalf of someone else for the greater good. There's something so satisfying about that. And that's why I think he's really enjoying this position. And that moment when he was sworn in inside those first executive orders in the Oval Office, he had mentioned after a long day and a continuously long night with all the balls, they asked him, what's it like to be Baxter? He goes, oh, it's indescribable. So wonderful. We're going to go to the White House now for President Trump and Prime Minister.
Thank you very much. It's a great honor to have Prime Minister Modi of India. He is a great friend of mine for a long time. We've had a wonderful relationship, and we kept the relationship during the 4-year period. The period that was a very interesting period indeed. I got to see how not to do things, and we've just started up again, and we have, I think, some very big things to talk about. Number one is they're going to be purchasing a lot of our oil and gas. We have more oil and gas than any other country in the world by far, and they need it, and we have it. And we're going to talk about trade. We're going to talk about many things, but it's really an honor to see you, and you have been my friend for a long time, and congratulations on having done a great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
नरेंद्र जी, आपको मिलकर बहुत सम्मान महसूस हो रहा है कि मुझे बहुत खुशी है कि आज फिर आप यहाँ पर आए हैं और हम पिछले 4 साल आपसे हमारी बात हुई है और हम उस रिश्ते को आगे बढ़ा रहे हैं जो 4 साल में मैंने बढ़ाया है और ये बहुत ही महत्वपूर्ण और रुचिकर समय आने वाला है हमारे सामने दोनों देशों के लिए। आपने देखा है कि हमारे पास बहुत कुछ करने को है। अभी पहली बात है तेल और गैस की बात है और हमारे पास काफ़ी तेल और गैस है और आप इंडिया में इसकी ज़रूरत है जो हम देंगे। बाद में बात आती है ट्रेड की, व्यापार की और इसके अलावा हमें बहुत खुशी और बहुत ही हमारे लिए एक सम्मान की बात है कि मेरे एक मित्र आज वापस यहाँ आए हैं और उनसे मिलकर मुझे बहुत खुशी है।
Would you like to say anything more?
No, I'm okay.
एक्सेलेंसी, मैं सबसे पहले तो फिर एक बार आपको यहाँ पर देख करके और आपको यहाँ पर मिल करके बहुत प्रसन्नता हो रही है। मैं आपके इस भव्य विजय के लिए आपको बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ। न सिर्फ मेरी तरफ से 140 करोड़ भारतवासियों की तरफ से आपको मैं बहुत बहुत बधाई देता हूँ और बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं देता हूँ।
Your Excellency, I'm delighted to see you back in the White House and to meet with you today in this room. On behalf of 1.4 billion people of India, let me convey my heartiest congratulations to you on your grand and historic victory.
ये बहुत ही सुखद संयोग है कि भारत की जनता ने 60 साल के बाद किसी प्रधानमंत्री को तीसरी बार लगातार देश की सेवा करने का अवसर दिया है और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि मुझे इस कार्यकाल में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ फिर एक बार कार्य करने का अवसर मिला है। मैं कह सकता हूं कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के पहले 4 वर्ष का मेरा जो अनुभव था, जो गर्मजोशी थी, जो उत्साह था, जो विश्वास था, वही गर्मजोशी, वही उत्साह, वही विश्वास के साथ हम फिर एक बार साथ मिलकर के आगे बढ़ेंगे।
Last year, the people of India gave me the opportunity to serve them for the 3rd consecutive time, and it has happened in the history of India in the last 60 years for the first time. And in this term, I will have an opportunity to work with you over the next 4 years, and it's a great pleasure to see the two coincide. And I can say from my past experience of working with you in your first term that we will continue to advance the India-US strategic partnership with the same warmth, with the same trust, and with the same excitement.
और मेरे लिए खुशी की बात है कि आते ही राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने एक मित्र की तरह मुझे पुराने अहमदाबाद के स्टेडियम की याद दिलाई। ये बात सही है कि ह्यूस्टन में हाउडी मोदी और गुजरात में अहमदाबाद में नमस्ते ट्रम्प, वो दो एक ऐसी बहुत बड़े विशाल कार्यक्रम रहे जिसकी गूंज आज भी भारत के हर कोने में सुनाई दे रही है.
I'm happy that as soon as I entered this room, my friend reminded me of Ahmedabad and the cricket stadium where we held the big rally, and the events that we did, the mega events that we did in Ahmedabad, Namaste Trump, or the Howdy Modi in Houston. We had conveyed a very strong message of our friendship through those events, and the resounding echo of those events can be heard even today in India and the world.
भारत अमेरिका संबंधों को प्रगाढ़ बनाने में, उसको एक नई ऊंचाई देने में और व्यापकता देने में राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की पहली टर्म की बहुत बड़ी भूमिका रही है. और मुझे विश्वास है कि दूसरे टर्म में भी हम उसी गति से आगे बढ़ेंगे.
Excellency, you made immense personal contribution towards strengthening of our relations, towards making them more comprehensive, and in attaining unprecedented heights in our relationship. And I firmly believe that in your second term, we will work with even more speed.
और मैं जैसे भारत के नागरिकों को वादा किया है कि मैं तीसरे टर्म में 3 गुना गति से काम करूंगा, और मुझे विश्वास है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप के साथ आने वाले 4 वर्ष हम भारत अमेरिका के संबंधों की गति में 2 गुना गति से काम करेंगे.
As I had promised to the people of India that in my third term as the Prime Minister of India, we will work with thrice the speed. I firmly believe that with President Trump during the next 4 years, during his second term, we will work with twice the speed that we did in the first term.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप से एक बात हमेशा अप्रिशिएट करता आया हूं, सीखता आया हूं कि वे राष्ट्रहित को सर्वोपरि रख करके काम करते हैं. राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की तरह मुझे भी भारत के हितों को सर्वोपरि रखते हुए कार्य करना, ये मेरे लिए सौभाग्य की बात है.
One thing that I deeply appreciate and I learned from President Trump is that he keeps the national interest supreme, and like him, I also keep the national interest of India at the top of everything else, and this has been my real fortune.
राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप की जब भी बात आती है तब मेक अमेरिका ग्रेट अगेन हर किसी को याद आता है, हर किसी को उससे प्रेरणा मिलती है. वैसे ही भारत में विकसित भारत 2047, जब भारत की आजादी के 100 साल होंगे, तब तक भारत को विकसित बनाने के संकल्प के साथ 140 करोड़ देशवासियों का संकल्प, उसको आज नई गति मिल रही है, नई ऊर्जा मिल रही है.
President Donald Trump and Make America Great Again are inseparable. Whenever we talk about President Trump, one has to talk about Make America Great Again. Similarly, that vision inspires everybody. Similarly, in India, we have the resolve of 1.4 billion people of India that by the time India reaches the 100th anniversary of its independence, we will make our country a developed country by 2047. And this is getting new speed and new resolve.
अमेरिका विश्व का सबसे पुराना लोकतंत्र, भारत विशाल लोकतंत्र, और इसलिए हम दोनों का मिलने का मतलब 1+1 2 नहीं, 1 और 1 11 होता है. और ये 11 की शक्ति, वो ताकत विश्व के कल्याण के भी काम आएगी.
US is the world's oldest democracy, and India is the world's largest democracy. So when India and the US come together, they make 1+1 11 and not 2. And this is the power of 11 that is going to work for the welfare of the humanity.
मैं राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप का, मेरे एक अच्छे मित्र का हृदय से आभार व्यक्त करता हूं कि हम फिर से एक बार प्रगति की राह पर नई ऊंचाइयों को छूने के लिए चल पड़ेंगे.
I once again thank my friend President Trump, and we together resolve that we will together march towards progress and towards prosperity for our nations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And he's doing a great job in India. Everybody talks about it. He's doing a really fantastic job. A great leader. Great leader.
मोदी जी बहुत अच्छा काम कर रहे हैं भारत में, और हर कोई इसकी बात कर रहे हैं. वे बहुत बड़े नेता हैं, बहुत महान नेता हैं.
मैं आपका बहुत आभारी हूं आपके इन शब्दों के लिए और मुझे विश्वास है कि भारत का हर नागरिक आपकी इस भावना का आदर करता है।
I thank you for your warm words, Mr. President, and I firmly believe that every person in India respects your sentiments.
Thank you. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you. Thanks a lot.
Any questions, please?
Yes, President. You are both very popular leaders in your respective countries. You've spoken about a common sense diplomatic doctrine. So what's a Trump-Modi doctrine that we should expect from the meetings
आप दोनों ही बहुत popular
today?
leaders हैं।
Make our words better and safer.
Well, I think more than anything else will be the unity. We have great unity. We have great friendship, he and I and our countries. And I think it's only going to get closer. But it's very important that we remain united as countries. We're friends and we're going to stay that way.
President, how are you going to fight China if you're going to be tough with India on trade? How are you going to beat China then?
We're in very good shape to beat anybody we want, but we're not looking to beat anybody. We're looking to do a really good job. We've done a fantastic job for the American people. We had a great 4 years, and we were interrupted by terrible administration, absolutely terrible. They didn't know what they were doing, and now we're putting it back together, and I think it's going to end up being much stronger than it was before, even much stronger than it was before.
प्रधानमंत्री जी आप हमेशा से
May I? Yeah. President Trump, first of all, congratulations for the fantastic 24 days of your presidency. Historic and unprecedented decisions that you made, transformational reforms. I'm particularly impressed by the expose on USAID. And I would like you to share with us if you think USAID had a role in election interference in the US in 2020 and Indian elections in 2024.
So it could have had a role. There were a lot of bad things that happened in 2020. I think bad things happened in 2024, but it was too big to rig. We won by a tremendous margin. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions of votes. So it was too big to rig. But yeah, I think they probably tried. We're looking to go to a system now much different, where one-day voting, voter ID, and we have to do that. And paper ballots. We want paper ballots. And when they do that, we're going to clean it up very, very well. But we had a great 2016. We had a much better 2020 election. But bad things happened. And we had the best of all. We had, they say, the most consequential in history, 129 years. Most consequential. So it was a great election, and it gives me a chance to work again with the Prime Minister and India. And we're going to have a great relationship together.
Mr. President, do you see, प्रधानमंत्री जी कल प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बात की है और युद्ध को रोकने की बात कही है आप हमेशा से सर
Do you see India playing a role in your plan to broker a peace in Ukraine? And if I could ask you about a development in your hometown today, the U.S. attorney has resigned over the DOJ's request to drop the case into Eric Adams. Did you personally request the Justice Department to drop that case?
No, I didn't. I know nothing about it. I did not. I think that, just to answer your other question, we're just going to get along well. We're going to get along with all countries. We're going to do very well. We're going to be doing, I think, record business, record numbers. And we're going to work with India also. We have some very big trade deals to announce in the very near future.
प्रधानमंत्री जी कल प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप ने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से बात की है आप दुनिया के अकेले ऐसे लीडर हैं जिन्होंने प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन से मीटिंग की है प्रेसिडेंट जेलेंस्की से मीटिंग की है पहले प्रेसिडेंट बाइडेन से मिले और अब प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप से मिले आपको लग रहा है कि जिस शांति की बात आप करते आए थे उसमें अब भारत रूस और यूक्रेन को युद्ध खत्म कराने के लिए अमेरिका के साथ मिलकर कोई नया रास्ता बना सकता है और दूसरा प्रेसिडेंट ट्रंप भारत आने वाले हैं प्रेसिडेंट पुतिन भारत आने वाले हैं तो क्या भारत भूमि से शांति का संदेश जा सकता है And Mr. President, what you would like to say about the Bangladesh issue, because we saw and it is evident that how the deep state of United States was involved to regime change during the Biden administration. Then Muhammad Yunus made Junior Soros also. So what is your point of view about the Bangladesh?
what is the role that the deep state played in the situation in Bangladesh?
Well, there was no role for our deep state. It was. This is something that the Prime Minister has been working on for a long time and has been worked on for hundreds of years, frankly. I've been reading about it. But I will leave Bangladesh to the Prime Minister.
जहां तक रूस और यूक्रेन के बीच का लड़ाई का सवाल है, मुझे खुशी है कि राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने शांति के प्रयासों का इनिशिएटिव लेते हुए कल राष्ट्रपति पुतिन से बात की है। दुनिया का एक सोच रही है कि भारत न्यूट्रल है। भारत न्यूट्रल नहीं है। भारत का अपना पक्ष है और भारत का पक्ष है शांति। हम पहले दिन से ही, और मैंने राष्ट्रपति पुतिन को उनकी मौजूदगी में मीडिया के सामने कहा था कि ये समय युद्ध का नहीं है, और मेरा एक कन्विक्शन है कि समस्याओं का समाधान युद्ध के मैदानों में नहीं निकलता है, वो टेबल पर चर्चा करके ही निकलता है।
As far as the Russia-Ukraine conflict is concerned, I'm very happy that President Trump has taken initiatives to restore peace and had telephone calls with President Putin and President Zelensky. The world had this thinking that India somehow is a neutral country in this whole process, but this is not true. India has a side, and that side is of peace. From the very first day, I have been talking about the importance of dialogue and diplomacy and a peaceful solution. And when I met President Putin in the presence of media, I had told him that this is not the era of war, and I have firm conviction that problems cannot be resolved on the battlefield. The two sides will have to come to the negotiating table.
शांति के हर प्रयास का हम समर्थन करते हैं, और राष्ट्रपति ट्रंप ने जो इनिशिएटिव लिया है, मैं उनका हर सख्त समर्थन करता हूं।
We support all efforts aimed at establishing peace.
Can you let him translate, please?
Trump has taken to welcome it and support it.
I just want to add to that. We had a very good phone call yesterday with President Putin. It lasted maybe an hour and a half. It was excellent, and I think we went a long way toward getting a solution to the horrible war where so many people are being killed, especially soldiers on the battlefield. At least 1.5 million soldiers have been killed on a ridiculous war that would have never happened if I were president. But we've got a long way to. I think we've got a long way to solving it. Tomorrow there's a meeting in Munich, and then next week there's a meeting in Saudi Arabia, not with myself or President Putin, but with top officials. And Ukraine will be a part of it too. And we're going to see if we can end that war. That war is a horrible war. It's a vicious, bloody war. We want to end it. To your other question, that U.S. attorney was actually fired. I don't know if he or she resigned, but that U.S. attorney was fired. Okay, go ahead.
What is the role?
Wait, say it.
What is the role that you expect India to play vis-a-vis U.S. competition with China and in your broader vision for peace in the Middle East?
US or China ke competition?
Well, I think we're doing very well in our competition with everybody. I think you're going to see a nation that really is going forward at a very rapid pace. Our economy is going to be fantastic. We're doing things to make it that way. We announced some very big elements today of success. I call it an element of success. Reciprocal tariffs, so that somebody charges us, we charge them the same amount, which has never been done in our country before. We've always been taken advantage of by other countries, and we allowed that to happen foolishly, but we're not going to allow that any longer. So I think we're going to do very well. We've been doing they say the last 3 weeks was among the best 3 weeks ever for a start in a presidency. There's never been anything like it. And when you see what we've been able to do in 3 weeks, people are really amazed. Even the Prime Minister mentioned it. I think other countries are looking at it. But I just want to thank everybody for being here. This is a terrific man. We're going to make some wonderful trade deals for India and for the U.S. And thank you all very much. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Quickly, guys. Come on, quickly out this way.